Good afternoon and welcome to The Joy is in the Journey. My name is Gina. I'm a practitioner here and I'm laughing because of my cat behind me. Perfect timing. I'm a practitioner out of Rhode Island and I am so grateful to be here with you today. It is a beautiful day here, and it is definitely the beginning of fall. It is cool, it is crisp, and it is lovely. So I am enjoying and joyful in this beautiful weather. And my guest today is a wonderful woman that we've had here before, and I am so grateful to have her here with me today. Now, the joy, before we get into that, the joy in the journey is about uh you gotta love when it's live, right? She always hides and sleeps all day, and of course now she wants limelight. So that is Poe in the background, everyone. My Halloween kitty, all black with orange eyes. So now she's part of the show. But the joy is in the journey is about enjoying every step of the way. It's not waiting for an event. It's not waiting for when this happens or that happens in my life, then I'll be happy. I personally call that destination happiness. It is what our society often does, where we say when we have the right job, when we have the right mate, when we have the right whatever it may be. But the problem is there's always other things to want. So it's not about wanting anything. It's simply about appreciating who we are, where we are, whose we are, and the power that we have to create. So today, I know that this magical, wonderful practitioner that I have, who truly is a minister, just not quite with those, not the letters yet, but she is so close, and a friend of mine, is going to be part of that beautiful, wonderful new beginnings of where we're going in CSL with me. We have some beautiful, absolutely wonderful people coming out of ministerial school, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. I'm grateful to be here in this new light as we begin in this time of what we're unfolding into, because life isn't the same as it was. So, before I go into more detail on that, our beautiful guest is Christina Jones, and she's a practitioner who has finished all of her classes at the Holmes Institute. She's in the midst of taking her exams to become an officially licensed minister, and she's a seventh generation intuitive healer. And Christina, she is a nutritionist as well as a life coach. She is a spiritual coach and a business coach. She started out in corporate America, and now she is in just the spiritual realm. She's done crisis intervention training. She's done all types of one-on-one trainings. She's an amazing woman, and we've got some wonderful things to talk about. We're in this place of change right now, and it is time to be the change we wish to see. So, welcome, Christina. What a gift it is to have you here. And my cat was fine before the show. She just waited until it was live and said, "Here I am."
Thank you, Gina, and thank you, Poe, for making. Poe's been finding joy with the camera. Um, Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm so blessed and joyful. You are also on this journey of ministry. Um, the whole New Thought movement is blessed to have your presence.
Oh, you're very sweet.
Yeah.
I am blessed to have found it. A friend talks about a different program actually, but he always says, "We happy few," and
Mm,
I love that statement because it really is that. How wonderful it is to know that we are the power. It is within us. We don't have to beseech it. We don't have to ask for it, beg for it. We have to realize it and embody it.
yes.
And I know you do that in amazing ways. I was admiring your gorgeous necklace that is amethyst. With I said it looks like an angel, and you said it's.
It's
Please tell
from
us.
Yeah, it's from Peru. I went on a group spiritual trip with a minister in Mile High Church in 2013. And it was actually around things. I think I bought this on Thanksgiving Day. It was at Lake Titicaca, and shaman Jorge Delgado Ruiz. You can Google him. He is on Facebook. He was the one with Shirley MacLaine when she went to Peru, and his sister makes channels jewelry. It is silver from Peru.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and the stone is from Peru, and there's matching earrings, but I think it would have been a little too dressy with my casual sweater.
And it's getting chilly there too. I know you're originally from New Orleans, but you've moved to the mountains. She's actually at Mile High now in Colorado, Lakewood, Colorado, and you said it's getting a little chilly there as well.
Yeah, actually we live about 50 minutes southwest of Lakewood. So we're in the mountains. So Lakewood's around 6,000 feet, and we live at 8,500 feet. So it's cooler up here by 10 degrees. So right now it says it's 50, but it feels a lot colder.
I would think so. That elevation, it gets a little bit thinner. The,
Yeah.
the air gets a little thinner up there. Well, we actually had a great time when we had spoken early June. You had come on, and I had asked you all of those wonderful questions. And while I'm going to ask you again, any developments in your ministry? What's the next steps after these exams?
Well, next steps are panels, boards, for people who aren't familiar with it. And then after that, I'm going to see what the divine has. I'm going to rest. There's no rush. There's no rush. Even if it
You
takes,
say that. Trust me. Spirit always has a sense of humor when it comes to that.
I know I've made the plan of no rushing for at least 6 weeks or whatever, just sitting with it, being with it, maybe taking a vacation. I know I've said that, but I know the universe, what's that old phrase? We make plans and God laughs.
Oh,
So,
I know that one very well. Very,
yeah.
very well.
So that's what I'm seeing. But I am gonna change things. Like right now, I don't have a website. It's like, what am I rushing for a website for? Start in the new year. Started after exams and panels. So I'm beginning anew. I'm committed to completing my first book next year. So yeah, I'm looking. I feel like I'm in the beginning of a new year with October. That's the way I feel.
Okay,
That
well, we'll see how that goes. Sometimes there's a center in spirit calls you right there. We've got a hello to Jamie. Thank you. Yes, we
Hello,
are
Amy.
wonderful to have you here with us. Here on New Thought Media Network, we are talking about what is real, what is positive, and how do we deal with it? And that's what we really want to talk about today. I know one of the things that is pressing on you is when we've spoken is that how there's a lot of people that seem to be in crisis right now.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that are experiencing seeming separation. There's a lot of fear, and we want to address that. I want to say hello to our
Oh,
friend John in Africa. Yes, absolutely, the praise is divine alone. Wonderful to
wow.
have you here, and a gift to know that we're all over the world. And yes, we are here to help you and joyously open your eyes in a wonderful way. So, welcome and thank you for being here. It truly is a gift. And I'm sorry, well, we're here to talk about the truth. The
Yeah.
crisis is only the beginning of change, and that things have to break down before they can break through.
Yes,
And there's gifts in all of it. So that's what we're here to talk about today. What we see is not all there is.
that's true. Absolutely. Because what we're seeing, and we're seeing with the physical eyes, we're not looking in the inner eye.
And that's, we know that, in CSO, we talk about a lot, all is well. Religious scientists in general,
Yeah.
all is well. And to know that spiritually, but not be experiencing it, is one of two things. One, we're looking for it, we're knowing it, and we're looking for the truth in it.
Yeah.
Where is the good in this?
Mhm.
Where is the good, and I demand to see it. And the other part of it is spiritual bypass. So we have to be very careful that we are mindfully addressing what it is we see and what we know, so that
Mhm.
we're feeling the difference. Because if we're not, if we're just saying all is well, but we don't feel like all is well, there's no answer there. We're not helping anyone. We're just contributing to the chaos.
Yes, absolutely. And in regards to that, I reflect a lot on my ancestors lately with everything. I think her name was Jamie that said something about crisis. And me and my friends were talking about what our grandmothers and great grandmothers and great grandfathers. I was blessed to grow up with my great grandparents. And to hear their story, they didn't have technology. They didn't have what we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
All this information. Sometimes it's information overload, but a lot of ways it allows us to connect like we do through New Thought Radio and with friends and family around the world. That's the blessing. However, when I say about the outer eye, there's so much our outer eye is getting that we forget to go within, because it's even when I'm in the midst of stuff, there are days I have to chant, this too will pass, till I feel something. You understand? Even though I don't know what it is, I don't know, but I know there's a divine that knows. Humanity has always gone through pivotal moments, and a lot of it we don't even know about. Greece went through a pandemic thousands of years ago. There's always been something, but there's always been a light at the end. And for me, it is a trust. And some days it's hard to get there. I'm not spiritual bypass. And some days, yes.
And
And
it's
some
okay to not be
it's
okay.
okay.
We
You have to
need to
go.
address the fact that it's okay to not be in that place of experiencing it. And
Mm-hmm,
in those moments, what do we do? And that's what we really want to talk about as well. Because
mm-hmm,
part of the reason that this show and my peace circle on Monday nights, the reason they exist is because it's great. Who doesn't want world peace? Who doesn't want more peace in their life? Who doesn't want to experience joy? But how the hell do you get there?
uh-huh.
That's the answer. It's not about, well, if things are well, then yes, you can be happy. No, things can be well at any moment. You can be happy at any moment because it exists within you.
Yes,
Joy is internal,
yes,
peace is internal. It
yes,
is who and what we are. And when we remember that, it gives us a new opportunity to look at life differently. Sometimes the best thing I can do is cry myself to sleep in
yep,
those moments, because you know what, at that moment at least I let go of the negative and I get to refresh with new stuff. Happens.
yes. Yeah. And tears. One thing I've learned many years ago, there's salt in tears, and salt is healing.
Yes.
Sometimes the tears is your release. Sometimes I've screamed in my backyard of what's going on to release it. Because if we don't release it constructively and safely, the tears, I have a friend of mine who's gotten a kickboxing to help release frustration. She is a practitioner. She's also a minister, to release some
Well,
of that energy, because we're still physical beings having a spiritual
yes,
experience. And some days it's like, okay, you have to acknowledge that you're upset, but not sit in it.
exactly.
Not sit in it. And like, I can't, when you can't get out of bed, that's when you got to seek support. When you're not taking a shower and brushing your teeth and taking care of yourself, that's when you like reach out for support and reach within also for support.
There's so many layers to it, and things are going to happen, and it's one of those things to me too that we have to remember that there's things that we're going to grieve. We're going to miss people. We're going to miss circumstances. There's jobs that come and go. There's loved ones that come and go. We know the eternality of life. We're, it's not about that. We have a ministry that we don't just preach that. We get it. And I miss hugging my mom.
Yes.
I miss that my sister's not here with me physically, that I can't call her and get the kind of response that I want. So there's both. It's not that we're supposed to say, oh, it's all good, I'll see her again, wonderful. And for today, there's times that I just miss them. And
Yes.
in those moments, that's part of human nature. There'd be something wrong if I could literally say, oh, it's all okay. It's all okay. Then they never meant anything. It doesn't
Yes.
mean that my life stops, but I can have a bad day.
Yeah.
Things will come up. Or it could be you had a day planned and it pours and your event cancels. And yes, you can say, well, that was the will of, and that's great, but it still stinks in the moment.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Well, you can have plans all day. I mean, we'll put it this way. Let's look at the internet. Everyone's been having internet challenges. I know I have. Gina, you're having the glitches right now.
I got
Everyone's
bumped
having
out
challenges.
right before we started. I'm like, what is this? The computer
Okay, here we are. Suppose we
completely
wake
shut
up
down.
one morning and the internet's down. Think about that one. Think,
What
I mean, your whole day, especially you, Gina, you do a lot
it is
on.
what it is. You go
It
somewhere
is
else. You
what it
do what
is.
you
It's
have
like,
to.
you know.
I've done meetings on my phone. You work around it. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we'll figure it out. You just adapt to the best of your ability. But there's times that little thing can seem like the world
Yeah.
because it's a matter of where our mindset is. And with COVID, there's a lot of fatigue.
Yes.
There's a lot of pent up energy. They said that in general, even violent crimes are up.
Yes.
They're like more than double,
Yes.
than they were the past 2 years combined.
Yeah.
Like
It's
there's so much pent up energy
energy. Yes.
that is, there's a lot of things happening that we see. We see people dying. We see a fear of something that we can't control. To some degree, it's not up to us to control. Yes, there is a vaccine, thankfully. We can't control who takes it or who doesn't. And we can't control, every aspect of life. And yes, there's children that can't. And then there's stories. But
Yeah.
when we get caught up in the fear of it,
Yes.
the story takes over our lives.
Yes. Well, see that when you get it, you said something very powerful. Control is an illusion. It is a mental construct. It is not from the divine. It is not from God. Control is from fear. Absolutely is the opposite of love, the total opposite of it. So when people want to scream, yell, and judge, I've seen it with some individuals in this movement. It's like you're already out of consciousness. You're really out of it because you're trying to hold on to something. Even trying to hold on, like what's the old phrase? We don't get out of this planet alive. Everything. I mean, I have aspen trees in my backyard. They're bright gold because it's fall. They are going to go back into hibernation, die back, die down. So people are not only just dying from the COVID, they're dying from other things.
Yeah.
Like
There's
this
a lot
recently,
happening right now.
there's a lot, there's a shift,
Energetically, there's a lot happening.
there's an energetic shift.
Planetary,
Yeah,
if you believe, I mean, and that's, somewhere along the line, there are some people that don't believe metaphysical includes astrology.
hmm,
Metaphysical includes everything, as far as I'm concerned.
yes,
Metaphysical is to know that there's something greater than me, and it can be used and read in amazing ways.
yes,
Just like Ernest Holmes said, treat and take the pill. His mom was incredibly spiritual, believed in psychics, and he was raised around that. Of course, they took that out of the second edition of the Science of Mind textbook. They
yes,
took that stuff out because it didn't fit their mold. But Ernest Holmes wrote about it.
yes. He wrote about it. He also, Jim, I'm not sure if you had the Ernest Holmes. Yeah, you did. You did have the class. Yes, you were in there with me when he had seances.
Yes.
So it's tapping into the one mind. That's the teachings. It's the
And there's
tapping
different
into
ways of,
beyond the physical. And back to what you said, there is a lot of upheaval with planet Earth. There's volcanoes going off. I got an alert on my phone. Killer whales rumbling again. So I believe we have also the one thing I do have. We have the power. It's not control, but we participate in Mother Earth. How we react outwardly is affecting. I really feel this into. I grew up with intuitive psychics mediums. I truly feel this. We are affecting the earth more than we know with our emotions. That even Mother Earth is rumbling, is exploding. Like you said, the crime rate's going up. Things are exploding. It's like when people do the World Peace Days, or you do your Monday night peace call. That's what we're really called to do. And I'm not saying ignore a spiritual bypass, but there's so that we have more information than we've ever had, including our parents. They didn't have this. Get
it's
on.
overwhelming at
It's
times.
overwhelming. You gotta. It's like ration it out. You gotta ration what you're
Everything
getting for
blew up.
information. Yeah.
Everything blew up, and it in the middle of that we had what seems like division in the country when it comes to, the different political movements. And then there's so many, and also financially because of everything. And when you're talking about a society that's built around finance as consumers, not as individuals, that really throws a loop, and it shows us who and where we are. So we've been shown a lot, and it's fallen apart to be healed in a better way.
Yes.
And that's why we're here. That's why we came here. And actually, I just wanted to say that Jamie's been sending us some messages, and we're going to be putting up our emails, and we can reach out to us individually, Jamie, if you'd like to reach out to us as practitioners, and we can make sure that we'll give you. I'm going to put those up now so that you have them, and anybody else as well. I want to just make sure that if you have any questions or anything that we're not covering today, so that you have a resource of how to get to us. This is me. I'm at Gina at believeinouttoday.com. Reach out, because we are always here to pray. That's what practitioners do first. And we're all practitioners, whether you're licensed or not. The minute that you learn how to treat and pray, that's what you're here for. And you are a practitioner. It's not about the license. So that is mine, Gina at believeinouttoday.com, and Christina, which I will show this again, absolutely, at the end of this. But I just want to say that we are here, and know that we are here as, we pray first. So we are always available to pray for someone and know the truth. Because sometimes when we're caught up in it, and actually I was speaking to somebody just, yesterday about this. So again, Christina at ChristinaJonesEnterprises.com. So we've got that there. I just wanted to make sure I reached out, because she did have, we did get a couple of different messages. So just,
Okay.
just for that. But when we're caught up in anxiety, when we're in fear, it's hard to treat. It was one of those, this particular person had, she was with a screaming baby all day yesterday. And literally the baby, it turns out the baby had gas, but was
Oh.
screaming at 6 months old. They can't tell you what they want. And
Mhm.
she's like, but I was treating and I was treating. But when you're treating from a place of panic, it's not the same.
It's not.
So you have, as I said, that's when you send out the text messages and have other people treat and know the truth. Because when you're in it, it's not the same.
No.
So you get caught up. It's like, you can't fly when your wings are wet. You're in the muck.
Yep.
Let us not just help you out, let us know the truth and see you flying. you
Yep.
know so
Well.
that's where a group and having people that you count on, it's so important to know that, to have a touchstone and a basis to come back to. Because one of the things you had said earlier was, you don't want you don't want to end up not getting out of bed in the morning. You don't want to end up in a depression. And it can be. And I remember my sister said, I have the right to feel, to be upset. She was going through what ended up being her final days of stage 4 cancer, lung cancer. And she's like, I have that right. I said, you do, but eventually it's not fun anymore. There
Yeah.
comes a point that pity party, you need to bring someone with you so you don't fall in.
Yep.
Because otherwise it's not fun. It's not about fun, but it overdoes it to the point that now there's a tipping point and we don't know how to get out.
Yeah. And that's why the world, humans, animals, we're built for community. We
Yes.
are built for community. And I want to go back to what you said, like the economy, about consumerism, let's say America, how it was founded. Well, in that, we got away from, we are creators, we're co creators. So, what I tell people, change that, try to work on, we're going to a new paradigm. We're, we're in it, we're not out of it. We don't know what it's going to look like. I have hope. I'm seeing and feeling the light. However, we're to be creators, to be co-creators, not consumers. Because even look up the word consume, it's pretty nasty. For me, it's pretty low vibration. Now back to what you said, the joy in prayer. There have been moments where I had a major disagreement with a family member. I called in two friends. They had to treat for me because I was still in the place of pissosity. And I allowed myself to be there until I shook it off. I stayed there for a good hour and a half. I allowed it because it's like I have a naturopath that told me you have got to release it because you got to watch in this spiritual movement. Sometimes we're so quick to go to prayer, but in that moment, my feelings were hurt, kind of like your sister. She was there, and
She
it's
was
okay.
processing what she was going through, and she didn't want me to make her feel better. And we have to be careful with that too. As caregivers, we want to make people feel better, but the truth is sometimes that's not our job.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's to say nothing and just be love.
To hold the light for them in the same, that's active spiritual listening. It's something I coach on,
When
of listening, because some people want to be heard and they don't want you to fix them, and that's where we have to be aware of, all of us as practitioners. Anyone that prays, just like you said, Gina, as a practitioner, especially people in this movement, not to be codependent on making someone else happy. There's that slippery slope.
one of the things that I've realized is my addiction to comfort. I
Mm.
heard someone say this not long ago, and it was like the light bulb came on because it's uncomfortable to see people hurting.
Yes,
And we, in good conscience, want to help them not hurt anymore. But they've got to process what they're going through.
yes,
So to tell someone about their blessings instead of their loss, to tell someone how they should feel because it's more comfortable for you to feel good than it is for you to feel bad.
yes,
But we don't realize that's what we're doing sometimes. We don't realize we're trying to help the best we know how until we know better and then we get to do better. But it is uncomfortable to watch someone grieve. I can remember many times thinking, you know, I have called people and I have helped people through so many things. Where are they? Why isn't my phone ringing? How come I haven't heard from people? And there were two reasons. One of them was it's uncomfortable and what do you say? So if you don't know what to say, a lot of people won't call because they don't know what to say. But the other one was on me. I had created a persona that I didn't need help. I was the one that helped everyone else. So they figured I was strong enough. I
mm,
didn't need it. And it wasn't on a conscious basis.
mm,
But when you have been that person that takes everybody through everything because it was what you were raised to do as a caretaker,
mhm.
people don't identify you as needing help.
Yeah,
They simply figure you've got this. I remember telling my nephews, being very careful. I had over a dozen tumors in my kidneys. I was diagnosed with, and I was going to need 2 partial nephrectomies. Had it been any other way, I could have lost both kidneys. Truly a miracle. Many miracles happened along the way. And I know that it had to happen for my life to be who and where I am today. But at
Yes.
the time, my nephews had already experienced the loss of their mother at 9 and 11, their three of their grandparents, and they'd gone through so much. And I'm telling them now their one aunt also is now going to be, and they were like, "Oh, we know you'll be fine." And I was like, "What?" Like, there was no concern at all. It was like there wasn't any, and I mean, I knew I would be fine, and I didn't want them to worry about me. But they're in their 20s, they're like, "You'll be fine," because they always saw me that way.
Yes.
People see you, and that's wonderful to be that person. But we
Mhm.
all need help.
Yes.
We create our lives and our environment and our relationships. And I created that I don't need any help. So when I did need help and I wondered where people were, I did this. They didn't create it. I taught people how to treat me.
Yes.
And I taught unconsciously because I taught with how I was taught. So I always encourage people to remember this, to remember that we get to choose again for something healthier, and
That
not to be in a place of blame of where the hell are those people, but be in a place of curiosity. Why? Why is
and
this not?
another thing I want to add, especially women in our country have not been taught to communicate out loud, to say what we need. So
Hmm.
your story is very beautiful, and women have been taught to take care of everyone. Yes. And then be
Especially women, especially women.
especially women, and then told not to say anything when you need help, to buckle up, handle it yourself. So that's how come one of the reasons your nephews, that your friends and family loved you, but they just did this. So I feel part of this new dawn we're walking into, especially women, we are to communicate what we need from a grounded place, not the anger, because a lot of us haven't had our needs met. We didn't take care of ourselves. We didn't tell people, hey, we put everyone else on the schedule except us first. We are to communicate. That's what we need. Um,
Action, not reaction.
yep, action, not reaction. To say, hey, and I've been like that. I'm working on receiving. I've been a giver, a caretaker. I raised
That's
my
why
parents for
that's
most of
how
my
I
life.
ended up with cancer.
Yep.
I had, because in Eastern medicine, kidneys are where you hold grief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my mother, father, sister were diagnosed stage 4 in a year. I
Mm.
had to take care of everyone, everything. So
Mm.
with all that was going on, I did. I took care of everyone except me,
Mm-hmm.
because I told myself I was taking care of myself. I told myself I was grieving, but how could I when I had a mother that went into depression? My mother and father both went on to have 5 bouts with cancer. So I spent a decade taking care of everyone. And before I knew it, I was riddled with in my
Yep.
kidneys. I held my grief, and it taught me not to. It was
Yes.
the only way the first time I could ask for help, because I
Yes.
had to. Because when you can't get out of a chair without somebody else, you learn to ask for help.
Yeah.
Humbling as it is, I never want to do that again. So I ask now. I
Yep.
ask.
Yeah, that's the spiritual two by four. I had a cancer scare, and then they couldn't find it because I worked on myself and had another dear friend who practiced. She's half Hawaiian, and we worked on me, and we knew the moment it was gone. But it was a call for me to. I was taking care of my mom and my aunt, and I was in working a full time job, and I was in spiritual studies at Mile High, to become a practitioner and studying to be a certified coach all at the same time. I had to,
And at the time, you're like, yeah, it's a lot, but it's okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
it's
I
okay.
can do
It's
it.
okay.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I can fit it
No,
in.
now things got changed, and I had to have conversations with my mother and my aunt and my sister and other people in my family. It's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not playing. I'm not doing this. I have to put me first. I mean, people get upset when they say that, but it's not selfish. And I will say, especially my perception of our country, women were always taught to be put last. You work, you're taking care of the husband, you're taking care of the kids, you're taking care of your parents, you're doing it all. And it's like, And that's what I believe we're in this new dawn of what beyond COVID. The whole world is changing. I've spent a lot of time in Europe. I've spent a lot of time in Peru and in Canada. Women don't do, they do, but they don't do to the extent that we do. We take it on with a smile on our face, and then we're exhausted and wondering why our adrenals or kidneys or liver or breath, everything's going awry, and we don't express
Well, there's a weak
outwardly
link.
what we need. And
Something's going to break. And the
something's going to
breaking is
break.
us.
Yep,
Physically, something's going to give. When you pull on a chain, eventually something breaks.
something breaks.
And the something ends up being health. If we
Yep.
don't take care of ourselves, and it's just there's only so much you can do before something's going to give. Disease is dis-ease,
Yes.
and it's going to show up in some way until we can realize and act differently. And we get that opportunity, and that's part of why we're here on shows like this, and that's part of why we were both called to ministry, is to help people understand, look, I did this, I get it, there's another way, there's a higher way. That's a It's amazing to me when I look back at my chaotic years, which was most of my life. I look back at the chaos at what I really accomplished. I was busy. I did a lot in a day, but there's days I've never left the house that I did more spiritually, that I did more metaphysically, that I did more for my future and others as well, never leaving the house. But we have to take that time, to allow that to unfold,
Yep.
to
And
understand that we're not the ones that have to do the work. The law does the work.
yeah, the law does the work. And you said something, I want to add something to act differently, be different. Because actors get paid. I used to act. Be different, because the being is the
Yes.
embodying.
Yes.
You have and you have you. It's a requirement
We're
to
not
live.
human doings, we're human
We're
beings.
human beings, and it's a requirement to live. Oh, what I mean, a complete holistic life, not only HOL, but whole, 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 fully integrated human being having a spiritual experience. That's being in, that's embodying it. And that's what I feel we're called to be, especially in this moment. What's the higher vision?
And there's a lot of things that we see that we don't have to agree with. It doesn't have to be my way, quote unquote. It, you know, however people approach going against anything never serves me. I can be right or I can be peaceful. I can be right or I can be happy.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're not both. You can't be both at the same time. And it's okay. What do you choose for your life? There's that saying, and if you want a happy marriage, you have to be, you can't be necessarily be right and happy at the same time. So it's
Hmm.
like, what do you want more? And the truth is, I want peace.
Yes.
I can know truth and align with that truth and allow the truth to make changes. I don't have to force anything.
No.
It's never going to work. Going against anything
Mm-mm.
doesn't work.
No. No. And force causes I don't like the word negative, but it's the only thing that's coming to my mind right now. A negative thing, because that force, it's not genuine. It's not from a heart place. It's from that physical place. I'm going to force. I'm going to make. I'm going to control. It goes back to that control.
Yes.
In lieu of going with the flow. I'm not saying don't just sit there and hum and meditate all day. You do have to treat and move your feet and take action and take those moments and go, okay, I had a plan. It got diverted. I'm not going to force an agenda. You can make a plan, but you don't have to force anything because life has always been filled with detours. This planet is a big school filled with detours. You're walking this way and then another road shows up. Being so
And
stoic, trying to make things fit into something that's not going to fit, stop fighting the force and go with the flow.
and it's also knowing truth. I
Yeah.
don't have to fight you against anything to know what I know to be true.
Hmm.
Even if I'm not seeing it, I know it has to show up. It's the
Hmm.
way that it works.
Yeah.
I know how it works, and but I can't be against it. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
we
Mother
get that
Teresa,
choice.
you had to get that choice, and you said against. Like Mother Teresa said, when you march for peace, I'll be there. I'm not against war, but what you're for. Instead
I
of being against something, what are you for? And that's the inner knowing of joy and peace. Even some days when you don't know it, having that support system or having a practice of being centered and grounded, this too shall pass. Whatever challenge it is, this too shall pass.
I have a poem that I'd love to share about. It's called Power versus Force. So
Mm.
let me share that with you if everyone can indulge me. It's from my first poetry book, and it says power is inherent in strength. Fear is inborn of force. Power is allowing spirit to flow through me. Force is pushing it away. Power is the overflowing of abundance. Force coerces the way. Power is grace in bloom, while force is a crushing blow. Power unfolds in perfection. Force breaks down the door. Power is glorious embrace. Force traps and holds without choice. Power sees the internal rewards. Force seeks bigger trophies.
Mhm.
Power's opulence is inherent, while force bullies respect. Power glows and excites. Force burns and destroys. Power surges effortlessly. Force pries between to separate. Power grows eternally, while force is scarcity at its core. Power is God's will in motion. Force is want in action. Power rests into life. Force rests from desire. Power is a peaceful understanding. Force thrusts its view upon the world. God is powerful. Force is when I do not listen again. So it's knowing the difference.
Mhm.
Is it my will or is it thy will?
Yes.
It's realizing that we get to be still and know.
Hmm.
We can be right and still sad.
Yes. That's a
We,
beautiful poem. And that's a great book. I advise anyone to get that book, Power versus Force, which will also bring you
yes.
back to the present moment, to the here and now, because sometimes we don't need to know why everything is happening. I mean, really. Like what's going on? How does that reflect on me? What's going on with me? Because when some people go into crisis, and when I know from I've had 3 years of, I didn't get a psych degree, but 3 years of studying in it. The crisis usually is outside of you, it's not inside of you. When you take a step back and you have to give whatever's going on and trust that there is a higher path that we may not know
Yep.
in this moment, how people choose to leave this planet, what's going on with the economy, what's going on with what wars and rumors of wars. I mean, that's written in scripture.
Even in our own lives,
Yeah.
I mean, I would have never thought, like, you got to be kidding me, for all that I went through, 2
Yeah.
surgeries and everything to go. I would never be in ministerial school if that didn't happen. I would have never chosen this path.
Yes.
It was never on my radar. But I
Yes.
know, and it's the first time in my life that I don't feel like I should have already done something. As soon as I started it, there was a feeling in me that shifted, that it's where I'm meant to be. It's
It's
a
right
knowing.
where you need it to be.
If
Yes.
that didn't happen, I wouldn't have gotten there.
Yep.
And Jamie, thank you for your beautiful words about the poem. Anybody that would like a copy of it, if you email me, I will send you a copy of it. It's my
You
poem.
need to put this poem in a book.
It is. It
Oh,
is
it
actually.
is.
My first poetry book is. I have
Well,
two.
put that on your Facebook page. Let people know. Get it out there.
I will. I will. I'll send you the link. Actually, this is that. It's in this one, Soul Purpose, and
Okay.
that's on Amazon.
All right.
So
That's what
that I do
people
have it
know.
in that one. But
Yeah.
I do. There's
Go
another one.
buy her book, Soul Purpose, because your poetry is beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
it's so true. And that's what I feel. I've seen it. I've seen people do some affirmative prayers where it almost sounded like it was force instead of flow. And that the flow is in the power. That's exactly where it is. And that's the joy. When you go with the flow, you find the joy, you find the happiness, you find the peace, and it's okay. I have cried watching TV. I lost my mother last year. I lost an aunt last
We
year.
both,
I
and it was close together.
Yeah, it was close
We
to
miss
him.
them. We
Yep.
know life is eternal. We know that they're happy where they are,
Yeah.
and I'm not happy at times. They're not here with me.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's selfish. I still want to hug you. I still
Yeah.
miss you. We're human.
We're
You
human.
know, it's so important that we remember that part of love is wanting that, and it goes on forever, but we still want it. We can't deny how we feel. For me, I think of grief. It's like they're like waves. It's like being in the ocean. And
Yeah.
of course, that's because I'm on the East Coast, so I'm right by the waves all the time. But I think of it when you're in the water and a big wave is coming. If you lift up just a little bit, like if you like hop up as the wave comes, it'll flow right through you. But if you try to stand up to that wave, it'll take you right under. The undertow will pull you right down.
Yep.
If you go with the flow of the wave, you can float right through it and you don't move. But if
Yep.
you try to fight that wave, it's going to knock you over.
Yeah.
That's what grief is to me. If you go with the flow of the emotion you're experiencing, it'll pass.
Yeah.
But when we fear it and we try to push against it, no, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. Or when you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're fatigued, when you're not, you haven't done your self-care, when whatever the emotion may be that you're experiencing, and when you deny it, it's going to take you under.
Yep. And you will be. I've gone through immense grief. My mother and I were homeless when I was younger. I've gone through abuse, you name it. And the one thing I know, joy does come in the morning. It does. Even when you're got the nasty cry.
That's where faith comes in.
Yeah.
Faith is the life raft.
Yeah.
So that
Faith is
when
the
you
life.
fall, you're falling on that life raft of faith, knowing that, at least I'm being upheld. I'm
Yeah.
not going to drown by this. Spirit's got me. That's that life raft that I'm held in.
Yes.
I love the visual for myself of the praying hands.
Yes.
the open praying Jesus hands, I believe is what
Yes.
they. And I put people in that. When there's circumstances beyond my control, which is just about anything, when with my nephews or my daughter, my grandchildren, and there's nothing I can do about whatever the circumstance, if someone's not feeling well, or even if I'm not, I can literally put myself, visualize myself in those hands
Yes.
and know that it's taken care of, because there's nothing better than the divine hands to take care of me.
Yes.
And isn't that what we do when we pray and
Yes.
know truth? We give it all to spirit. We know the truth and realign with the truth of who and whose we are.
Yes. And that's what we're called to do in these times. Going back
Yes.
to what we talked about in the beginning, many of our ancestors had faith. They had faith in the unseen. And yes, it takes time. Be easy with yourself. And some days you may feel a little, it might feel a little off for 1 and 2 hours. I've had moments I woke up feeling a little off and got myself grounded and spiritual. And even I had a day like I woke up feeling odd. I'm an empath and intuitive. I could feel hurricanes before they're coming. I could feel things. And it's like I'm not turning on the news. I waited till like 12 to look up something on my phone to be informed because I wanted to get myself shored up for whatever I saw. And it was drama. It was drama.
And
But
it
I
is,
was
and
shored
there's
up.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
So how do it's important that we talk about how do we get ourselves shored up? How do we make sure that we're in alignment?
Yeah,
And
well,
that's for you. How do you do that?
well, I'll be laying in bed. I got this from my husband, and I never knew this. He's been in law enforcement over 30 years and a very deeply spiritual person. He said, first thing he says when he opens up his eyes, grateful for another day. I took that on years ago. I used to say, good morning, God, when I was younger, or thank you, God, but now it's the word grateful. And I'm still in bed. And my kitty, we have a black kitty too that likes to cuddle, and it's cold. I'm petting him, and I can hear the big dog snoring and just being it while still laying in bed before the feet hit the ground. That your spiritual practice could be that quick. It doesn't have to, oh, I got to get wrapped up and get my candles lit and not that other. Just turn off the alarm clock or it's like find acknowledging yourself. You are up and you're alive. I've said this since I was a little girl. Thank you, God. The planet is here. We can breathe. The sky is either blue or if it's gray, it's snoring. The sun is always shining, even when we can't see it. So that's the first thing I do before getting out of bed. It's just to say thank you in gratitude. And then sometimes I'll pray in the shower. It might be a traditional Lord's Prayer. One day Psalm 23 popped in, and I know it by heart. And it came through in the shower, and I had chills in the shower. That was a spiritual practice. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a good day. Now, this day was a very interesting day on the planet when that happened. And I was like, I'm glad that dropped in because I wasn't going, oh, crap. And I was getting texts and phone calls. I can't believe this happened. And all that. I took myself back to the shower. I'm like, that's why Spirit told me say that Psalm 23. So even I do have a meditation practice. I do. But for those that don't have one, that thing of gratitude, thank you. I have metaphysical books by my bed, like, oh, let's see what Ernie says today. Or I have Esther Hicks books. I got sacred geometry books. I'll close my eyes, say, ooh, this is pretty, and read what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the spiritual practices, and it's getting so that it's a routine,
it's a
so that
routine.
it's not just when I need it. It's not an old crap handle that we're like, oh, hey, okay, now I need it, so now I mean it now.
Yeah.
It's not about a foxhole. It's about always knowing and always being in that place, so that when I need it, I'm used to it. That's the routine, not the exception.
Yes.
So it's doing I was out of Concordia CSL in Rhode Island, And right at the very beginning of shutdown, they started a morning call. And I know we're moving. The hour flew by, but it's all like it starts with meditation, goes into visioning, and then that's half of the half hour, and then we do the morning reading from Science of Mind magazine, and then we go around with what are we grateful for and what is our prayer request, and then we treat.
Oh,
In an hour, it is a tremendous use of spiritual tools.
yes,
And it's not just about doing once in a while. I mean, it's being in that place and using them all the time. Visioning, having a regular visioning partner, having a prayer partner. It's having that touchstone that I'm always this, not just when I think I need it, but I'm always this. And the more we have that routine, the better life gets,
yeah.
the easier that it flows.
It flows. Well, I want to instead of I like easy and simple.
Let it be
I believe
easy.
it can change. Some people may think I'm a little cuckoo what I'm about to say, but I do believe life can be simple. I do.
Yes.
God did not put us on this planet to struggle. And yeah, it's like what you said. Don't just be my dear friend who's no longer on the planet was a very, I will say, a beautiful, staunch Christian. She knew the Bible like the back of her hand. But she used to always say this: don't be a crisis Christian. Don't start praying when everything's burning down. Begin now. Begin tomorrow morning. Like you said, it could be an hour, or like when I start mine, that's when I, say something in the shower, and then I go to meditation, or you're doing a group call, or going to Gina's peace call. It has to be a constant thing because of the bombardment, and life will be easy and simple. And it doesn't mean we won't cry. It doesn't mean we won't have challenges. It doesn't mean that one day you look at your bank account going, uh-oh, and then you hold space like I'm abundant, because the universe is abundant. God made me abundant. And God created me to be healthy, whole, complete, and prosperous, and joy filled, and filled with light. We are called to hold the light.
It's a joyful journey. And if it's not, then we're doing it wrong.
Thank you. Preach it, sister. You're
if,
doing it wrong.
if you're not enjoying this ride, you're
Yeah.
doing it wrong. And it does, like you said, it's not always, but in general, every step of the way is a different view. We
Yes.
get to be here. We don't have to, we get to. There
Yes.
are people that aren't here anymore that would have loved that opportunity. I
Yes.
learned that my sister was 37. I
Mm.
learned that young, and I was, 4 years younger. I was 33 when she transitioned. I learned I get to be here.
Yes.
So everything is the perspective we take into it. And I'm so grateful to be talking about these important things so that we give people an opportunity to, see things a little bit differently. And again, I just want to mention that we are here today with Christina Jones, and she's actually a practitioner, but so close to minister. I want to wish you the best, knowing that those exams are already done, that the law has this, it's already in the flow, and you are already there. So I am grateful for, all that you've done to be there and to be in the place where you are and letting it unfold. And I can't wait to have you on next time and know, what spirit has planned for you. So thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Gina.
much for
Thank you,
being here.
everyone. Be well.
And remember that we're here on this network, ntmedia.org. We are here because of people like you. We get to be here in this common conversation around new thought because, people like you donate. So go to ntmedia.org and, simply just click the donate button, and we get the opportunity to have more conversations like this. Please forward this message, put it on your Facebook page, do whatever it is you need to, and know that we are here to bring you up and to bring this world up to a new height, to new beginnings. So I'm so grateful that you were here for this conversation. Again, reach out to me if there's anything any topics or anything I can help you with. And remember that the joy is in the journey. Enjoy this and every day. Blessings and love to you. Namaste.
New thoughts.